guys, that was great to see so many familiar faces. Well done for sending in your photos, and keep them coming. Well, I'm standing in my kitchen today getting lunch ready for my family, and I found that I was looking at some lunch boxes on the counter. This one says, "Just let me eat and no one gets hurt. My daughter takes her lunchbox seriously." And I know that we all look forward to break time, and it's a time when we can catch up with our friends, maybe see if mom's put any yummy snacks in our lunchbox that we really enjoy eating, or we get to trade. But it got me thinking about a young boy in the Bible. And he had a lunchbox, or probably he had more of a basket that he kept his food in. And he was going off to hear a great teacher, in fact, the best teacher that ever existed. And this teacher didn't just have 20 or 30 people in his class. He didn't have 50 people in his class. The Bible tells us that he had 5,000 men in his place where he was teaching. But we know that the story is also about a young boy, so there were children there. And we also know that when there are children around, there are mothers. So you can imagine that there were probably 10 times the number of people who are in your entire school at that place where Jesus was teaching. And these people had been following Jesus around for days. They loved hearing what he was saying. They loved seeing him perform miracles of healing. But the disciples were very aware that it was getting late in the day, and soon it would get dark, and the people were hungry. So they said to Jesus, "Teacher, isn't it time that you sent people home, sent them to go and find some food to eat?" And Jesus said a surprising thing. He said to them, "Why don't you feed them?" Well, the disciples were shocked. It would take at least 8 months' wages to feed this many people. And they wouldn't be able to do that. So Jesus said, "Well, go and see what's out there." Now, this young boy that we met at the beginning of the story heard that Jesus wanted to help feed people. And he looked in his basket and he thought, "Well, I don't have a lot here." And maybe he thought what you guys sometimes think. When you don't get time to eat your lunch, you're busy on the field playing with your friends, or you're chatting so much that you leave some of your food for later. And when you get in the car, you're starving and you want to eat it. Maybe he thought, "I'd quite like to have my lunch that I left over because I'm getting quite hungry." Or maybe he looked at what he had and he thought, there's only 2 fish and 5 loaves. It's not enough. It's not really going to make any difference. But he took it to Jesus, and Jesus took it from him, and he blessed it. And then he gave it to his disciples to distribute. And can you imagine those 2 little fish and 5 buns fed this multitude of thousands of people? And in fact, at the end, Jesus said to his disciples, when everyone had eaten, "Go and collect up the leftovers. We don't want to waste." And they filled 12 baskets with the leftover food. Isn't that an incredible, amazing miracle that Jesus performed that day? Now, some of the things I really want us to remember from this story is that, first of all, that little boy was not too young. He was old enough and willing enough to be used by Jesus. So I never want you to think that you're too young, that you have to wait until you're grown up, that you have to wait until you've got an education or a qualification for God to use you. That's nonsense. He can use you right now, today, a little boy or a little girl, wherever you are, if your heart is willing and you're willing to give to him. The other thing I want you to remember from the story is that what you have might look small. It might look insignificant. His lunch was very little compared to the thousands of people that were there. But when he placed what he had in Jesus' hands, Jesus could perform an incredible miracle. So remember that whatever gift you've got, whatever offering you can make to Jesus, he will use it, and he can multiply it to bless thousands of people. The other interesting thing that I love to look at is, I've often wondered, well, why was there leftovers? Did Jesus make a mistake? Did he count the people and get it wrong? No, of course not. Jesus never makes mistakes. I think what we can learn from that is, when we give to him, when we give out of the little that we have, sacrificially, that he gives back to us. He wants to bless us, and we can know that we will never be without when we trust him and we give our lives to him. So there's great stuff that you could do. I'd love to tell you to go fishing. I know there's lots of boys who love fishing. Maybe you can do that when lockdown has finished, and you can remember this story. Or make some bread, make some loaves of bread this time. We had some great pictures of some of the matzah that you guys had made over the Passover, over Easter time. But if you can't do those, then there's also a craft that I've sent on the parents group. Just cut around a cereal box again, cut some brown strips of paper or color some strips and weave it through and color the loaves and fishes. Hang this in your room to remember that your life is significant, that you are a gift and God wants to use you. He's placed things in your life that he can use to bless many others. All right, guys, have a great Sunday. We'll see you again.